Hey there, I know what you're thinking, didn't I already watch this video? Well, you may have, but I actually took it down and put up this new one, made a bit of an error just around what type of pusher the Mark IV had. So there will be some new footage in throughout the video, letting you know that it's not a skinny pusher and why those mags still work the way they do. Anyway, I don't want to get ahead of myself. Watch the video as normal if you haven't before. If you have already watched it, thank you so much and thanks for your comments, and I'm glad to have corrected my error. I was going to say this is the biggest blaster of my collection, but you know what? Hilariously, it's shorter than the Fortnite Heavy SR. All right, everybody, it's been a while, but it's long form video time, and we're gonna unbox something big. And there are reviews out there, but not from me. Let's go. I'm gonna interrupt myself at the very start of this video. This is a few days later, and I actually used the Dart Zone Pro Mark IV in a night of games. Hey, I don't want to get hit in the face. I can see. It's not blind. Now, it was inside, which I've determined you would just never ever want to do. It's just simply too big. The Mark IV is best used in big open fields or places that have really great sniper nests or windows you can peek through. If you're running around and there's corners and you're trying to aim in smaller spaces, it's a no-go. And I guess that's kind of obvious. I was chatting with Bray a little bit and he did caution that I really should go out and try it outside if I really want to talk about accuracy. He said it leaves a little something to be desired for long range. And that makes sense because we can't put the scar on the extended barrel, which gives us our extra FPS. That just doesn't make sense. You're going to see me gushing, you're going to see me really enjoying lots of it. I'm a much more casual player though, who just really likes all the things. To truly take this and compete, it's going to need a little bit of work. Kind of goes against the whole pro line. The funny thing with Dart Zone is they have their Adventure Force blasters and their Max blasters, and those are great. They're not perfect, but they are so amazing for off-the-shelf blasters. They have created so much goodwill and love from hobbyists everywhere that they can just grab those blasters and play. I've used a whole bunch of them in the games that I was running the other night for that very reason. The problem comes when Dart Zone does the pro line and they attach that pro, because then we're not going to have that same level of forgiveness that we might with a less than perfect off-the-shelf blaster. We're expecting a pro blaster. We're expecting something that is almost like we modded it. So when those blasters come with a glaring error that anyone in the hobby or tournament community would see instantly, it's a real head scratcher and it kind of depletes that goodwill. Not having the scar on the end of the extension, I can't think of a reason why it would be that way. The Mark 1.2, why would it have a flimsy folding stock on a stiff primed high power blaster? The Mark III, well, the Mark III did a lot of cool things. I thought, why did it have a full auto fire rate that is so slow, kind of defeating the purpose of full auto? Why did the Mark 2.1 have proprietary mags instead of trying to use something like Talons? Just a lot of stuff that keep the pro blasters from being pro. It's interesting. I still have a whole lot of love for Dart Zone and a whole lot of respect. I just really wish they'd maybe do a little bit more survey stuff before they put their blasters out there. I'm going to have to Dremel my Mark IV and make it scar compatible on the barrel extension. I shouldn't have to do that on a pro 180 US blaster out of the box. The FPS I don't mind so much, or upgrading the spring. I know there's probably legalities and a whole bunch of stuff like that that does get in the way. But even then, my Mark 1.2 hits harder out of the box. On with my already way too long review. I'm going to have lots of chapter markers. This one might be the longest one I've ever done, and I can't think of a good reason why, except I've already filmed it. So, I don't know. Watch it in the background. Thanks all. I don't usually unbox, but this is a big one. We have something blue. Oh, it is a nice package. I do like their packaging. These little corner protectors off. I am excited to check this out. I really like the look of it. I love the red, but because I am lucky enough to have one of these, I did go for the blue. What an unboxing. There it is in all its glory. We have those new mags, our extra low power spring, and our controversial super long barrel. Looks cool to me though. I think I might put some LEDs in this barrel with like a coin battery. I think that would look really neat. Boy, this thing is actually really big without that other barrel. You see pictures, but wow, it's heavy too. It's very hefty. I really like the blue. I really like the blue. Is this the same barrel attachment as the Deuce? I don't have my Deuce here. So I did grab my Deuce barrel extension. It looks very similar. It looks like some of the tabs are indented more on this. I don't think it's going to fit. Moment of truth here. No, it doesn't have the room. I can't tell if it would or not. Next up, I'll be seeing if I can actually attach this to the front of the Deuce. My Deuce isn't here. So many parts to this video. I found my Deuce. Let's try it with the Mark IV extension. Guess what? It fits. It looks kind of ridiculous. Now, because of the power of the Deuce, the shorter barrel that comes with it gives it more power than this longer one. When I was testing, I was getting like 105, 110 to 120 with this longer one. But still, it's pretty cool that it fits. It would be nice if they would settle into a barrel ecosystem, even knowing that it's not always going to make it perform faster. But if we can interchange all of these dart zone barrels, it gives us more control out of our FPS on the fly. Plus, I could see someone kind of wanting to hand cannon this around if they started making the fronts of these a little bit more universal. I was curious if it fit, and I'm glad I could actually add this into the video. Oh, there was a dart. It looks end strikey. Is it end strike? I must have something end strike here. Hold on. I do. It's even blue. Oh, wait. No. It goes the other way. What am I thinking? Oh, well. The gender roles of the Nerf and Dart Zone barrels are reversed, I see. I'm going to put this back on. This is awesome, though. This is really cool. It's massive and ridiculous. Oh, my goodness. So I'm someone who actually really likes my Mark 1, my Mark 1.2. Once I took that awful dart guide out of there and had consistent firing with it, I've used my Mark 1.2 a lot. I actually prefer my Mark 1.2 to my Trion by quite a bit, actually. I should really do at least a short on the Trion sometime. I am not the biggest fan, but they did a lot of cool things. I'm still glad to have it. And hey, that price point is a lot less than this. Anyway, this video isn't about that. It's about the Mark IV. I know a lot of people did say, I wonder if they caught less heat. I've probably said this too. If they had just called this the Mark 1.3, another iteration instead of something new. But I gotta say, it does feel like something new. It's so big. Whoa, that is a really easy prime. That's cool. I'm just getting so excited here. Yeah, and I don't have to prime it to put in my, I don't have to prime it to put in my darts or to put in my mag. Oh, right. It even has a little scar. Now, there is a lot of controversy around this simple little scar in that you can't actually use it with the long barrel on. How do I use that at all? Just push it in, it says. Oh yeah, I was just being timid. There we go. Pushed in. So there is some controversy that this can't be done to the end of this. I don't know why they wouldn't have just made this the same way so you could plug it in. Anyway, we'll have to do some testing on that. This is the good and bad of me. I didn't really want to watch a lot of people's reviews on this until I had one in hands, and there's pros and cons to that. I don't know that my reviews are ever the most technical. It's mostly just me reacting and being giddy. You know, I have impressions. I do like, I think I just saw, and this is the kind of thing that I might have missed forever had I not looked at the instructions. You can actually take the scar and store it in here. That is really neat. I wish they had done something like that with the Trion for storing those spacers. I've already lost one of my spacers. I don't know too many people who haven't. Let's grab these here. These are some insane looking sights here. There we go. I don't know if I like how they look. I don't think I do. I get what they're going for, but slimmer sights on the Nexus look a lot better. That looks a lot cooler. I mean, it has this thing here for setting this, I guess. No, they both spin. Oh, here we go. Right, so you can like tighten that up. Who's doing that though? Nobody's doing that. Is that worth all of that mechanism? The few pictures I have seen definitely looks like this has a pretty healthy plunger tube. You keep seeing this compared an awful lot to the Swift. So we do have that easy access to get in to change your screw to this other one. Sorry, to change your spring to this other one, but there is also a screw backing it up. It's what looks like kind of an end strike release and a screw. Let's get some darts in these brand new mags. These darts look a little different too. So one thing I am going to say, I'm taking these off. Foam blasting is an awful lot about feelings and fun. This thing has some pretty big sniper vibes and does feel really cool. I mean, I think the Harrier is a great blaster from Worker. I don't have one yet. I would like to get one, but this just feels massive and there's a lot of coolness and fun to that. The price point makes it a little harder to justify getting it for just coolness alone. The thing that's a shame is it doesn't have more FPS out of the box. I mean, to be honest, I find that about the Harrier as well. All these new blasters coming out, you know, if you're just taking them out of the box and it's meant to be competitive off the shelf, none of them are hitting what my Mark 1.2 did out of the box. So let's put a few rounds over the chronograph right away, and then we'll go back to the other camera and do some chatting about this. Whip the extension on. 202, pretty consistent. Let's take the barrel off. 178. Duplicate. All my FPS testing I did with these bamboo darts. These are a bit lighter. They get a bit more velocity than other darts. They cannot be as good outside because they are lighter. If you use this blaster with regular ruby darts or ember darts or one of the other more common darts, you're probably going to experience a 10 to 15 FPS drop. I also didn't show you any FPS with the included scar barrel. Again, that's probably going to take your FPS down a tiny bit, maybe 5 to 10. It takes a little bit of FPS away, but it does increase the accuracy. That's why people were so miffed that you could only use the scar barrel at the lower speed, when it really would have been easy to have been able to tuck it in here. This will cost you a little bit of FPS, but accuracy is better. I absolutely love the storage here. This is actually tickling me a lot more than maybe I thought it would. The ease of that prime is just really, really good. I think almost anyone could prime this, which honestly is a bit of an issue when you have the Trion or the 1.2 or even the Swift hitting 200. We kind of forget if we're used to it and if we can do it, but hand it to someone smaller or younger and it can really be a struggle. Whereas it felt like my Trion was dipped in molasses when I was trying to prime it quickly. This just couldn't be easier. And I also think that this thing that the Deuce Pro did as well, where I can remove a barrel to change my FPS, is just brilliant. Yes, it makes this massive, but it is the quickest way to change FPS. It's really, really interesting. And I hope we keep seeing this come out as yet another way to tune our FPS really quickly and really easily on the fly, so that these blasters can be used in a broader range of games. I'd love to see a little barrel extension for the Outlaw if there's kind of enough air volume to support something like that. I think that could be really neat. I probably should try the lower power spring just to say that I did. In fact, I will, and I'll run a couple over the chrono. I'll probably just tell you guys how that was. I'll take a second to do it now. Let's use the wrong screwdriver and see if we can strip this screw. Now we, ugh, there's a screw on both sides. I don't like this. Why couldn't we make this some sort of system that could be changed on the fly without tools? Yeah, that comes off with a little bit of force, but no more than the Trion. That's a weird design decision. More yellow, more power? Yep. Thread this in here. Thread that in there. I'm not going to screw that back together. We'll see how smart of an idea that is. And let's check out the chronograph. Low power spring, 113. Duplicate 113. And low power with big crazy barrel, 88. 91. With the low power spring, you're not getting more power with the extra barrel. That's not a surprise. You need enough air volume and power to take advantage of something like this. But it's actually cool, even at low power, as another way to slow it down even more. I could practically run this in a little stock war playing against kids in the arena. Another thing with that low power spring, this prime is super easy. And you can even do that one-handed prime that they showed in the commercials, which is actually not bad for getting like 118. I actually like this big foregrip that other people didn't like. I mean, I've used it for minutes, but it doesn't seem that bad to me. You can also swap out this grip. I know some people don't like it. Like I say, I kind of do. And this is nice detailing. Look at the Pro in white coming through that shell. Looks sharp. But I'm in the glow phase of things right now. I've just opened up a new toy. I'm really excited about it. Time will tell. I'm gonna get a chance to use it a bunch tomorrow night, so I should be able to tell you more. I thought this thing was going to be a breeze to mod up to 300 FPS and above. People have been doing some modding to that, but I feel like it's not as much of a breeze as we would have liked. It seems to definitely still have some potential. 180 US might be a little steep. That would really be my only gripe when I think of what I think are really fair prices for a lot of the other blasters. This one seemed a little bit high, but you are getting a couple mags. You're getting that extra spring. You know, sometimes in this stuff, we don't like to admit it, but a lot of it just comes down to what aesthetic do we really like. There are a lot of different blasters that will fit the same function. A lot of people gave this a hard time for being so big. If you want to snipe and you feel like a sniper guy, this is really snipery. So yeah, could you do the same thing with a Harrier? Yeah, and it's very similar to a Swift from what I gather. I don't have a Swift. I cannot deny that this thing is a lot more satisfying than I expected. It seems to be pretty accurate with the low power spring, so that's kind of cool. That was a big complaint with the Mark 1.1, 1.2, the 1.2. The low power spring was very inconsistent, but this one I hit 3 targets in a row. Low power with extension on. So we're only doing like 88 FPS. So I think that's cool though. Without that extender, 118. I should also mention it does have Slamfire. I thought it did. It does not have Slamfire. I just spit out 4 darts at once. That is one thing. If you mostly prime this and let it go, you will double, triple, quadruple load your darts. This happened whenever I gave the Mark 1.2 to people to try. They were surprised by how heavy a prime it was, and they never pulled it all the way. That probably won't be as bad with this one, where it's a lighter prime, even on the heavier spring, but just something to be aware of. I also have to mention that this one is short dart only. It does have a skinny pusher, so I don't have to actually prime the blaster to load and unload it, which I do like because I really dislike having to do that. The other Dart Zone mags are compatible. All of my Talon mags are not here. So I'm pretty confident that these are Talon compatible. Always watch the pinned comment below where all of my corrections and updates and all of those things will go. But it's definitely compatible with all of the old ones. I cannot imagine that it is not Talon compatible. So when I was talking about this blaster before, I had said that it has a skinny pusher. What that means is I thought that the pusher in here, when you rack this back and push it ahead, there we go, we can see the pusher. I thought that that pusher was a skinny one. And the reason you would have a skinny pusher is so that these feed lips of the magazine actually fit around the pusher. And that way you can load a blaster, whether it's primed or not. Oh, need the mag release. You can push that mag in or out. So usually being able to put in a mag like that is because of a skinny pusher, but in this case, this is not a skinny pusher. They thought it would impact the power of the blaster too much to do so. So what they did is they actually added, hard to see there, they added some slots to either side of these feed lip tabs to make it a little easier for these to flex open. So that way I can load this blaster just like it does have a skinny pusher. I'm saying skinny pusher a lot. I'm really overcompensating for my assuming that it had one. So here's the other reason I got a little bit confused. I can actually load a Talon without priming it back. So you can, with that metal pusher, you can clip this in. Now over time, because this doesn't have the same slots as the new Dart Zone magazine design, you know, are you at risk of stressing the plastic? Maybe. It's probably a better idea to load your worker Talon mags with it primed back with that pusher out of the way. But I will say it does seem to work okay to load it like that. And for the record, the other, it's hard to load things just looking in the camera. For the record, the regular, so here's where it's interesting. My Talons will load. My old Dart Zone mags, how did that one in? My old, oh yeah, there we go. My old Dart Zone mags will load like that as well. Again, without this being primed back. Trion mag also fits. I do have that one here. Look at how much bigger this is than a Nexus. That's crazy. It's so much sturdier. That is the thing with the Mark 1.2. It had that folding stock that you really had to brace it with your hand to prime it. You couldn't actually use your shoulder unless you changed the stock. The bad thing is you can't change the stock. You know, it's not buffer tube or anything like that. It is integrated right in and holds in the spring. It is not adjustable at all to my knowledge. And it would be hard to do any sort of extension or anything. I mean, I'm sure it would be possible. You could brace the spring further up and make this piece longer. Or it's interesting that this is kind of end strike on here. So with a lot of modding, maybe you could do something. Maybe they have some sort of plan for something. But generally, I would say you're going to be using the stock that came on it. I mean, I don't know. We could probably 3D print some sort of adapter that just holds this in place, because that'd be pretty sweet. I would leave those screws out, but it's a little bit wobbly without them, so I'm gonna have to put them back in. I do not like. I'm gonna have to get some thumb screws, but it seems like this would have been avoidable. I don't know why this is an end strike stock on something like this. I cross-threaded one of those just putting this back on. Those screws are a big negative. For something this big out of the box, I wish it hit harder. I'm sure there's a lot of laws and regulations keeping it from that. This is a blaster I would be interested in getting up to 250, possibly for competition. That's all from Maritime Foam. Let me know what you think of this. Are you gonna buy it? Are you gonna skip it? I feel like a lot of you are gonna skip it just because of the price. I know I slagged on the Trion a little bit. The Trion was very affordable and a really neat blaster and did a lot of cool, innovative things. The other problem is you can get a Mark 1.2 for a really good price. They go on sale all the time for a third of the price, half the price at least, and you're getting a lot of blaster for half the price. I feel like when I started, Dart Zone could do no wrong. Darling of the industry. I feel like then we had a phase where everyone was really griping about a lot of Dart Zone decisions, but I feel like we're back on the upswing. Things like the Max Outlaw have helped. They're just a company like any other, trying to make money, trying to come out with cool stuff, and I think this is cool. So if you have the money and you like the profile of a blaster like this, I think it's definitely worthwhile. And you know what? There's gonna be sales for this too if you're patient, I'm sure.